Uh, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, great milestone of the real well. Shalom to all the brothers doing the work, sincerity and truth. Yeah. So I got this article, it's on the Wall Street Journal. And it says what? Bill to strip social media of protections for health misinformation. So yeah, it's once again using this thing going around to basically quell the resistance, to basically, because social media is where you've essentially had a lot of Esau's, what's going on has been getting spoken about, has been getting exposed. So as such, it's fucking hell. These guys don't want to leave it out here. This thing going around is has been been used spectacularly, to get what they desire. So let me read this. It says what Senator Amy Klobuchar introduced a bill Thursday that would strip online platforms such as Facebook and Twitter of liability protections if their technology spreads misinformation about this thing going around. The Mac specifically, or other public health emergencies. So yeah, I think they've already if you talk about it on any of the surfaces, any of the services on like Facebook, Twitter, whatever, then they'll stick or even YouTube as well. They'll put a warning kind of label thing, underneath the video, where it will link you to, for information about blah blah blah, click this. And I think it's the same on Twitter. They'll say, this is they'll say, this is misinformation, blah blah blah. So now they're just saying outright that if essentially it's to make it so that people getting banned off this, get booted off off social media sites easier with what do you call it? Because they're gonna make Facebook, Twitter liable. So because they're gonna have to pay fucking 10 mil or something if it's just left up there, then they'll be like, okay, well now you're gonna have to enforce it more. And that's why they with YouTube, where they change the terms of service to just make it vague, so they can kind of whatever they desire, however they wish to enforce something, they can just do it how they want, pretty much. So it says the bill, which Ms. Klobuchar has previously telegraphed was in the works, would create an exception to the law known as Section 230. Yeah, and I think that law was from forever ago, early 2000. Well, I think just before the 2000s, where it was saying the company isn't liable for what's written on it, which kind of gives them basically stops them getting sued. So this would allow them to get sued over when they're talking about this thing going around, because that's the main that's the main thing that they're looking to work against, because getting people to accept it, that's the goal at the minute, man. Getting as much uptake as possible with as little resistance as possible. So a congressional hearing last year, big tech executive signaled cautious support for modifying Section 230, a provision in the 1996 Communications Decency Act that generally shields internet platforms or liability from content posted by users on their sites. The bill's introduction follows a report from the Center for Countering Digital Hate, which found that a significant amount of false information about the Max came from 12 social media users. The vast majority of patients driving into hospitalizations in parts of the US don't have the Max, according to hospitals. President Biden last week said that Facebook and other companies are killing people by serving as platforms for misinformation. Yeah, so that's what they're using, but really it's the main thing is to, quiet dissent, and that's really what it's been. 'Cause even going back when they said about the policies before about like hate crimes and da da da, it was the same thing. It was about people were talking about what depending on what you're talking about, then they'll just be like, oh yo, well, doesn't even matter about the context or anything. If you mention certain things, then you just get flagged and bang. They're looking to zap your channels. Because they basically just, certain things they just don't want them spoken about. Because that's the thing. It's like you go back 3-5 years, like they'll basically just looking at guys like they were lunatics if they're saying certain things. But now that plans are being enacted, now that things are coming through, it's then like if people start paying attention, it's gonna get dangerous. So it's better to, and it's funny because even on social media, you've got more people speaking about like, okay, the Max, etc. But then you've also got the people that are like become super staunch, super just like, if you're look, just do not talk about that. Don't talk about it. It's great. Go get it. You've got that same contingent as well, where they're just looking to enforce just compliance on the highest level. Because they're like, if you just comply, and then everything will be fine. They've got that mindset. So it's funny, like there it's really been it's been what's the word, like it's they've built up the a compliance angle on social media, but then it's like, yeah, that's all they want to be seeing, people promoting it. Because why? Because the main thing is this unicorn is bringing the truth out, bringing the word out, and the word is shining a light on these guys in spiritual wickedness in high places. These guys are basically trying to enact plans that go against the scriptures. They're basically trying to bring in they're trying to work against many Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and against the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, who are the Israelites. That's who they're really trying to work against. So yeah, it's funny as well. Let me read this. Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And yeah, that's you've been seeing, like, you had them floods in China looking wild, in Europe as well. You're having the natural disasters have been ticking up to the point where everyone's like, oh, climate change. But no, it's climate change, because it's Yahweh Shem Yahushai changing the climate. Because it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And that's the main thing. Because of what we're coming out with the truth, coming out with the word, basically shining a light on these elites, shining a light on their plans, shining a light on their desires, shining a light on what they're trying to do. Then that's why we're basically being, by the whole society, being hated, being looked at like, who are these guys? There's people that are coming around and saying like, oh, yo, I see it. But as well, those people that are basically integrated and believe in and are completely invested in the system, they're just like, yo, They're looking at it like, yo, what's going on? Why are you saying this? What are you doing? Don't just comply. Everything will be fine. Just comply. You know. So, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. Yeah. So it's those guys are invested in the system. They're trusted in Esau. That's all they're thinking about. In their future, they're thinking about staying within Esau's system, doing the utmost to make sure this system maintains. They, yeah, it's they're gonna be looking to take the many how about Shem Shot out, man. They ain't gonna be friendly because the world's gonna get axed. What is it? 5, I believe. Okay, so. No, it's when they're looking to kill him. I think jail is when the angel breaks him out. Later on. Okay, so what was it? It was verse. Okay, so Acts 5:35. It says, "And he said unto them, Ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these days rose up Theudas, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. After this man rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed." Yeah. And now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. Yeah, that's the thing. Is what Esau's doing? Esau's really just trying, like, he's trying to frustrate the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua anyway. But it's as a matter of how futile it is to come against the word. It says what? But I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone. For if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. And that's what Esau's trying to do. That's the thing, is as far as a unicorn on the internet, that was set up for the express purpose of the word going out to the world, which is done spectacularly. The word's going out around the globe, man. That's being flown out. You can access YouTube. You can access. You can see the videos all over the globe, man. You can be in Antarctica. You can get that shit sent to you. You can be in Greenland. You can be in Iceland. You can be in Australia. You can be in Mongolia. You can be in Panama. You can be in Argentine. You can be on the Falkland Islands, and you can get the word. Like it's done its job, and that's why it's like if it be of men, it's gonna come to naught, because like what the word's gone out, like, and it's gonna fulfill what it needs to do. The elect are gonna be woken up. Not one least grain is gonna fall to the earth, man. They're gonna be sifted. The elect, not one of the elect is gonna be left out in the cold. Says what? But if it be of the Most High, ye cannot overthrow it, lest haply ye be found even to fight against the Most High. And to him they agreed, and when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded them that they should not speak in the name of Yahushua, and let them go. Yeah, they said don't speak in the name of Yahushua. That's the key thing. That's the main thing. Don't speak in that name, and that's why it's in Matthew 24 it says, "What, you'll be hated for my name's sake," because the word that we're coming out with, Yahushua is a volume of the book. So what are we coming out with? It's against this world. This world is carnal, but when you deal with the scriptures, that's spiritual, man. The spiritual, these guys, they love the carnal. They love all the world, man, and all the indulgences that come with it. But this word, man, it's spiritual. It's a spiritual sword, man. It cuts. It cuts, man. And that's what they can't deal with. That's what makes them upset, man. Because even you scroll up, it says what they'll cut to the heart. Yeah. Acts 5:33 says what when they heard that they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them. Yeah, that same word, that same Yahweh Shai cut them to the heart, man. So yeah, that's there it's all Esau's trying to do is it's of men. So even if he's caught in a trap, man. He's a hamster in a wheel. He's doing his job, man. The wicked was made for the day of evil. That's it. So he's bringing that about. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yabashim Yashaba Shamakal Kadash Shalom.